Hello and welcome to another episode of Guitar and Pen. I'm Mark Will, author, songwriter, and publisher in permanent exile, currently based on the island of Taiwan. And I'm joined once again by Craig, who is coming to us live from Germany.
Yes, sunny Dortmund. Well, sunnier than it's been the last week or so, but yeah, nice to see you, Mark.
Welcome back. Today, for episode 9, our topic is the Ultimate Rolling Stones cover band set list. Why are we doing this? Well,
self-indulgence?
Self-indulgence.
Why not? It's Christmas time, I suppose, if that's your thing, you know.
That's right. Yeah, because we want to.
Right.
But also, we happen to be in the same Rolling Stones cover band ourselves. Or am I remembering that wrong?
No, absolutely. And then once you moved on to Taiwan, I kept playing in the same band with many different band members over the years. Some stayed most of the time, but yeah, we had I wouldn't call it a rotating cast, but there was a lot of, transient kind of players and stuff. But
well, it's like the Stones themselves,
right? Exactly.
Right? Many different members with a few, well, I guess 3 permanent members, at least until death.
So we had 3 different singers, 3 different singers, a frontman. Oh yeah, 2 or 3 different bass players. Yeah, I didn't even count them up, but I just enjoyed the memories.
Well, we're talking about the group originally called the Bicycle Thieves when they first formed for like a benefit concert, but then we became Sticky Fingers.
A name I've been using, I think, since I was a teenager, but maybe we won't go into that for other reasons. But I don't know, one of the first bands I think I had when maybe I was 17 or 18. Around about that age, maybe a little bit older, but yeah, we were called Sticky Fingers also. And we played in a pub. We played one gig, at least one gig I remember, in a pub in Cumbernauld where I grew up, called the Twa Corbies. Twa meaning 2. It's like a Corby's a bird, I think. The Twa Corbies, yeah.
Twa.
The Twa
T-W-A.
Corbies. T-W-A, yeah. So that's where Sticky Fingers really kind of originated. Obviously, the Stones came up with it first.
That was your band name. You chose that.
Yeah. I just blagged it. So I was like, yeah, it works. I don't even know if we played any Stone songs in our sets, ironically, but
well, that's
it is some years ago. It is some years ago.
And you were the drummer at that time as well?
Yeah. There was me, Brian, Ian, Martin, I think was in it. I can't remember if there was anyone else. There was definitely 4 of us. A lot of water under the bridge.
Did you do originals?
No, I think we played... God, I honestly can't even remember what the set list was. There was a lot of alcohol involved for that first gig. I do remember, like, this is proper old school, getting a bucket with wallpaper paste in it, or some kind of paste, and going around bus stops at night. Right? I think I finished work at 10 o'clock or something, so at like 11 o'clock at night, we're going about kind of putting up the posters and all that.
Posting
the wallpaper
bills.
paste,
Yeah.
Proper old school. So maybe that was more fun than the actual gig itself. I don't like the hazy memories.
For the Korea-based Stones cover band, Sticky Fingers, we didn't really have to do much advertising. It's like the places we played were usually packed, maybe because
I just set up for it, for whatever live music's going on.
People were going to be there anyway, and so when we showed up, we had an audience. And Stones songs.
These songs were meant to last, Yeah, they
very,
just keep
very popular. So,
right.
I mean, I can remember some great evenings that we had. Some not so great, but always
such
interesting.
is the life of a musical troubadour, Mark, isn't that right? We got to take the rough with the smooth.
Well, we took it on the road occasionally. Leaving Seoul,
right.
going to what was it, Boondong?
Gwangju, Suncheon.
Gwangju, yeah. Yeah. Going south.
Or was it
southern
Yosu?
part
Or
of
was
the-
it Suncheon? It was somewhere like that anyway. I think it might have been Suncheon.
I don't think
which
we
is
went
right
as far as Yosu, but
No.
yeah.
Not far, I think, if that was... There was an expo or something going on down there at Yosu or somewhere like that.
Yeah,
right,
there
at
was that
time.
guy, that foreign guy that had a bar. So these were overnight gigs, you know. We didn't have time to get back to Seoul, so we had to stay down there in the south and go back the next day.
Let's say these were less cosmopolitan areas than where we were living at the time. They were out in the sticks mostly.
Yeah, you got to take it to the people.
Right.
So, yeah, that's why I guess we're interested in this topic, because, you know, we actually played in a Stones cover band and we had to consider these questions. Although, as I remember, you, the drummer, pretty much always decided on the set list. You just informed us, this is what we're playing tonight, and no one ever objected. Is that how you remember it?
Mostly, yeah. I think as it went on through the different versions of the band, it maybe changed a bit because it was just a bit, you know, easier for people to sing it in different order, or, you know,
Right.
maybe it got to the point where you had a kind of 212 song sets, and then that was it. It was kind of pretty much set. You know, you might swap one out for the other, but it was, wouldn't say it was plug and play, but you had it down. You know, you knew what was coming, so you can always kind of improvise on the fly a bit and stuff. But most of the time, it was easier for me just to say, "All right, here's what we're going to do," and that kind of cuts to the chase, doesn't it? You know, if everyone's cool with it, then that's fine.
Charlie calls the tune,
Right.
and Mick and Keith, and I guess
We'll let them bicker away.
Ronnie.
Right? You know.
fall into line.
Yeah.
Well, when we first started talking about this possible podcast, here was your response. Stone set list sounds fun. But then the question, by era, band members, drugs, genre, which is, yeah, certainly a valid thing to ask, because with such a catalog, how do you make these decisions? And for the purpose of this podcast, I guess we should explain that we each came up with our own sets, 2 sets plus 1 encore. What criterion did you use to create your list? How did you go about this?
So after much deliberation and giving it some, you know, some deep thought when I was out walking the dog, I thought, well, why don't I just go for let's call it the 80% what the punters will love, you know? Like if you were to turn up at a Stone show, these are at least 80% of the songs you would know, right? There are obviously going to be a couple here that you might not be familiar with, but for the average Joe, the person just going to see a band, or even going to see the Stones, then this is what the songs that you might expect to hear. So I decided to kind of play it as straight down the middle as I could, because after thinking about it some more, I thought, well, Mark's going to throw in some not quirky songs here, but some songs that will kind of counterbalance what I'm doing as well. So I just kind of, without seeing your list, I just kind of anticipated that you would, you know, be my yang to the yin to my yang, you know, like that. I just thought it would work in that sense. I thought if one of us went for the hits, as it were, you know, then the other one.
So you assumed that I would probably favor the deep cuts,
right,
as they're called.
Yeah, I just had a feeling.
That's,
I mean, there's
that's
room enough for
not
both of us to do
inaccurate.
that.
That's not inaccurate, but the thing is, a lot of those deep cuts are also hits, you know?
Right, yeah, I
like,
know.
I mean, as I was, of course, after you sent me your list, which turned out to be 25, 2 sets of 10 plus 5. Well, actually, you didn't break it down that way. You just sent 25, and basically you went with the chronological approach. So it's interesting because we get like the historical perspective from the earliest hits to the latest, with one exception. Your final song is a timeless classic, shall we say.
Well, I thought we had to kind of end it on that. I couldn't really end it the way with what we chose, but I thought it would just be kind of fun to do it that way and see how it flows,
Yeah. So I took a different approach, which maybe I'll explain later. Let's just get into your list first, and then we'll see where that takes us. But there was something else I wanted to say. Well, I basically alluded to it before. I mean, as I was doing this, and it's interesting because the implied rule was that I can't use any of your 25 because what's the point of that, right? Like, you already chose your 25, so I've got to come up with my own list of 20 plus songs, which are totally different. And my approach was more, I guess I could describe it as trying to think about, like, what's the best song to open with, what should it be followed with, how should each set end. And so I'm all over the place in terms of chronology, but that's
a rock and roll show as well, in its very essence, isn't it?
Yeah, that's I'm totally fine with that, but let's get into it and see what we came up with. Here's set 1. So Craig is going to give us his 10 songs in set 1, and then we'll look at what I came up with. So without further ado, here's track number 1. Go ahead and tell us what we're listening to.
So as we were saying in chronological order, I think this is one of the thumbnails I might have used myself. I was in a town in the east of Germany called, I'll come back to me in a minute now, because of course now it's completely gone, but I randomly, right, okay, I can always edit this bit out. Play with Fire. Let's get to the song first, and then the rest might come back to me. But just when I recognised the thumb there, I found a kind of random record shop, but it only looked as though it sold Rolling Stone stuff. Erfurt is the name of the German town. And I found in the front, I think I've got some nice, interesting pictures from that, but the shop window was all this kind of Russian-based Rolling Stones albums and things like that. Anyway, very cool. Play with Fire, though, I thought this is an interesting place to start, just purely because it's that... well, let me read what it says. Play with Fire sounds amazing when I heard it last. I mean, it's a very in-your-face kind of sounding, very clearly done. You can hear all the vocal stuff on it. And I'm playing the tambourines, the vocal line. It's very pretty. So this is from Mick Jagger. I thought I would add this quote, or there's quite a few quotes actually. But this one here, this is a quote from him several years after the song was recorded, and this is him just in retrospect, looking back and talking all about it. I think this song's interesting for a number of reasons. The first one, the imagery of playing with fire, right? So you've got a picture in your head there anyway to start with. The song itself, the influence of Brian Jones is playing on it as well.
I mean, of course, this is 1965, so it's one of the early successful Jagger Richards compositions, probably around the time that they wrote As Tears Go By. I don't know which would have been first, but that became a hit not only for them but for Marianne Faithfull too, right? So this is when they've started coming into their own as songwriters, which is something they never wanted to do, really, if you believe what Jagger said later.
Look at those first 2 or 3 albums, and there's so many covers on them.
Yeah, and they were
blues
happy.
classics even.
They were happy, just as we were in a Stones cover band. They were in basically a Chess Records cover band. Like, they were happy to just play Muddy Waters tunes, and then the Beatles came along, and they're like, I think the Beatles, they were all hanging out, and John and Paul went into the corner and wrote I Want to Be Your Man, and they said, here you go, we'll give you this song. I mean, the Beatles recorded it themselves too.
A throwaway,
I mean, it's a great song. The Beatles recorded it with vocal by Ringo, but they just gave it to the Stones to record as well, and they were amazed. It's like, how did they do that? So, and then also they realized, we better learn how to do this too. And here we are 50 plus years later, and they, as the vastness of their catalog demonstrates, they learned how to do it very well, I would argue. In fact, as I was, compiling my list, I started having the sacrilegious thought that maybe the Stones are greater than the Beatles. It's like, am I really thinking that? I mean, there's just so many incredible songs, often compositionally simple, but nevertheless brilliant, ingenious.
So maybe in some ways this is like the genesis of that songwriting partnership. The Glimmer Twins, as they became known as in later years through the production work that they did on their albums. But this is maybe the beginning of that partnership. What was interesting as well, reading about, or maybe I kind of knew that prior to this, but Bill Wyman was never kind of really around a lot of times with the recording stuff, so Keith maybe played bass in a lot of stuff. I don't know if he played it on this, but a lot of tracks this seems to be a common thing through the decades. There'd be people missing. They're just like, all right, you want to play on it? Or whoever was there got to play on it. So this is a kind of interesting twist on the actual sound of it as well.
Yeah, that's mentioned later by Mick Taylor, I think, in one of these slides. But so you're saying on this track, Bill is not playing bass, or?
I don't know, to be honest, but I think it was common for a lot of the recordings. Bill would be somewhere else; he couldn't be bothered, or
banging groupies, adding to his list.
Indeed.
What did you say about the thumbnail here? I mean, that's Cyrillic.
Yeah. So I was in
script.
I was on holiday 3-4 years ago, and we did a kind of East German tour, and the first stop my wife and I stopped, it was the the city of Erfurt. It's in Thuringen, or Thuringia, I think in English. Mm-hmm. And we kind of walked all the way through the town. It's a nice town, big churches and all that kind of stuff. But on the way back, I remember just kind of finding a random record shop. And in the window of this record shop, where it was like all Rolling Stones paraphernalia. And I don't know if this was one of them. Anyway, I might have just got it from online, but I do have pictures of this from Erfurt.
So in East Germany, they would have had all these bootleg Soviet recordings, I guess. That is the image you sent. I was able to find or maybe I just used the one you sent, or I may have found it like a clearer version just through a Google search.
There's a lot of funky Japanese ones I found as well.
Oh yeah, quite a few of
together.
those. Yeah,
that was fun.
Interesting imagery. I was gonna say, like, this also, if this is, one of their earliest, Mick and Keith's earliest songwriting collaborations, this also marks the period when power shifted in the band, right? Like the founder, Brian Jones, is kind of sidelined. He basically becomes a side man, because he can't write anything. He can't. He's a fantastic
play all this
musician,
stuff, right?
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
But he can't. He doesn't seem to be able to compose. He's not lyrically gifted, so he starts to lose influence, and this is maybe the beginning of it. I wonder, I don't know if, like, again, I'm not sure which came first, this or As Tears Go By, but in my mind, they're like from that same early period. And speaking of the early period, here's your number 2.
And the band's 4th UK number 1, so obviously we've missed a few in between here, but okay, we get to it now. And their first US number 1, but what's interesting about this song is just the title itself. So, but when you just see it here on the screen, the song's lyrics refer to sexual frustration and commercialism, right? So let's take the first one first. Obviously, the title has some kind of sexual connotation to it, but...
And for those listening, we should say number 2 is I Can't Get No Satisfaction from Out of Our Heads.
Oh, right, that would help, wouldn't it? Right, sorry, yes, indeed. I Can't Get No Satisfaction. And I'd never really thought, but in all the times I've played it or listened to this song, it never really dawned on me it might actually be about being sexually frustrated. I just never put 2 and 2 together. I just kind of just took it for what it was. It's the riff, it's the the classic intro, and then you get your 3 minutes and change, and that's it, right? It was just a classic. But you dig a little deeper, and here we go. You can find out more about it. What are your thoughts on it, Mark?
That's always what I thought it was about, which maybe shows where my mind is as opposed to other people's.
Definitely
maybe
not prudish or anything, but I don't know. I just kind of, I don't know, but blindingly obvious, eh? Right?
Well, I think they asked Jagger about it later. And again, the source of a lot of my information on the Stones is from probably one book called Old Gods Almost Dead. I don't know if you read that one, but that's a pretty great Stones bio. And then I've read Keith's autobiography as well. And just numerous, articles in Rolling Stone and whatever. But I think Jagger was asked later, how about now? Have you attained satisfaction now? Maybe they asked in the 70s or whatever, and he said, I don't know, there were like 3 things. He said, sexually, we're fairly satisfied. Financially, we're
getting
fairly
there.
Satisfied. Yeah, getting there. I don't know what the third one was. Politically, maybe not satisfied or something like that. But yeah, it works on multiple levels, I guess. This would not be in my, despite its popularity, it would not be in my top even 50 Stone songs, even though we played it many times. I kind of agree with Brian Jones, who every time they played it, or occasionally when they would play it, he would start playing Popeye the Sailor Man on his guitar because he thought the riff sounded like that, and so he was taking the piss out of Mick and Keith.
And the title does also play up to their image as the bad boys, as it were, of the time,
Absolutely,
leading the way.
The anti-Beatles, they're
shocking
not
the nation with their naughty innuendos and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is a track that would have disappeared. I mean, it never would have come to fruition had not Keith recorded himself before he passed out one night.
Is it not
right?
the tape recorder story, right? He had a couple of tape recorders or something, and he woke up in the morning, he's like, what did I do?
Right.
Yeah. Maybe that story's grown arms and legs, but it's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. So depending on how much you like the song.
I don't think I could have a set list with this on. It's the kind of classic line, the guitar line, the lyrics, I can't get no.
Yeah.
Right, and then it's just like the rest is, it's there for the taking, I think. I like the cover of this as well. It kind of looks very 1965. Brian Jones looks great. He's just that kind of dapper look, with a slightly longer hairstyle, kind of long fringe, but he's got the kind of smart shirt and tie and the suit on and all that. Mick and Keith don't look as though they're too bothered, but they're, it's a kind of classic photo as well. I like that.
All right, well, here's number 3. What have we got?
Get Off My Cloud. And it's from December's Children and Everybody's 1965. And reading a little bit, I loved playing this song just because it was a kind of drum roll intro, and then we got into it, so it was a great song to play. And it was kind of fun, it was like a lot of the songs, just quite a simple idea, simple melody, verse, chorus, here's a bit of a solo, then we're done, right? You're like, all right, cool. But digging a little deeper into some of the comments from the band and so on about it, so I'll read what's on the screen here. This is from Keith Richards, and he says, I never dug it as a record. The chorus was a nice idea, but we rushed it as the follow-up. We were in LA, Los Angeles, and it was time for another single. But how do you follow up Satisfaction? I guess that is quite a tough act to follow. Actually, what I wanted was to do it slow, like a Lee Dorsey thing. We rocked it up. I thought it was one of Andrew Loog Oldham's worst productions. So it's funny what they make, or in this case, what Keith Richards make of it, and what the producer says. You get that a lot of this in rock and pop music and so on, and it's all about the producer maybe has the final say because they know what'll work or what sounds right at that time, whereas you might have written the song and you think otherwise. You're just like, oh no, it's got to be slower, or it's got to be funkier, or whatever it is. But in this case, he thought it was one of Oldham's worst productions. But I disagree. I think it's great. It's a kind of classic. I'm going to say classic a lot in the next couple of minutes, I think, but it's got that kind of classic groove to it, and it has a nice kind of funky feel to it as well.
I always enjoyed playing it, and actually I prefer this to Satisfaction, so I guess I would say I also disagree. It's interesting that this is also 1965. I mean, it's like they would just do 3 albums in 1 year, I guess it's
scary to think about it, like the output, or today I guess we call it content, right?
The content creation,
which is just wrong in so many ways. But yeah, I mean that was it. That was the name of the game, right? Album tour, singles in between, but that was it. It was just the mechanical process of getting it out there. And if you got a hit out of 1 or 2 of them, even better, eh?
Right.
Was Alan Klein was their manager as well? Alan Klein
later,
was the Stones later, yeah, right. So don't know that. Maybe we'll come to that later. Under My Thumb. And this is number 4 on the list. This is from the album Aftermath 1966. We've got a nice Japanese cover of it on the screen here. It's very nice. This song for me, I guess, it's a very double-sided coin. Let's take the marimba part first. It's a kind of class. We were just talking about the genius of Brian Jones and what he brought to the band's sound, the eclectic sound, if you like. Here's a perfect example. You've got, let's play the marimba, right? And you're like, it just works. It's a classic. Obviously, we didn't play it with marimbas, and it still sounds just as good. But if you're listening to the record, there you go, marimbas. That's how you do it. The other side of the coin with this one, when I was doing a little research, so on the screen here, for those who are listening, I'll just read briefly what it says. It was the song being performed by the group at the Altamont Free Concert in December 1969, during which the killing of Meredith Hunter took place. So that was a quote. I think I just took it from their wiki page. So you've got this whole dichotomy. The song has a slightly playful nature to it, a bit like Satisfaction in the sense of, being domestically told what to do by your other half, or, not being allowed to go to the pub, so you're under the thumb, or whatever the case might be. Maybe that's a stereotype. But then you've got this whole dark thing here with probably one of their biggest controversies was that Altamont Free concert. Was with the Grateful Dead, I want to say.
They were there. Jefferson Airplane. Yeah. Jefferson Airplane was there. Actually, were the Dead there? Maybe.
I think they were. I
think they were.
I can't remember, but yeah.
But the Jefferson Airplane was definitely there. Some of those other West Coast, Flower Power groups.
Maybe
of course,
a Laurel Canyon kind of thing going on there as well, right?
This was, of course, documented in Gimme Shelter, the concert film. So you actually see this horrific event take place.
So it's a real, if I take this song for what it is musically, it's just a kind of classic pop song of that era, I would say. There's no bullshit in it. It just kind of does what it says in the tin. It's great, it just sounds
great.
Here's how you write a pop song, for choice of a better word, of that time. But it just sounds fantastic. And then there's as we just mentioned, the kind of the other side to it that maybe a lot of people didn't. I don't think I was aware of it until I read it. Maybe I'd heard it, but it's one of those things.
I had forgotten about that. Before they started playing Under My Thumb, they had played maybe the song immediately before at the Altamont concert was Sympathy for the Devil, and so that that stirred some people up. The Hells Angels security team was having some interesting interactions with the audience. That was just whoever had that idea of asking
what
the Hells Angels to that was just a disaster waiting to happen. But as we go through the list, I'm seeing like their songwriting getting better and better. And I think Jagger has talked about how Aftermath of 1966 was like a kind of a milestone for them, right? Like they as an album, before they're just like trying to write singles and they throw them all together,
see what sticks,
on an album
kind of thing,
and release it. But I think this is maybe the first time they started thinking in terms of the album, a similar trajectory to that of the Beatles, right? Like we can use the album as a statement in itself, right? It's not just a collection of songs. They can cohere and communicate
maybe
something.
Even building a narrative in certain kind of ways.
Exactly, yeah. You can communicate something with these songs collectively that you can't just with the songs in isolation. So I think they started to have that conception of the album with Aftermath. And here's number 5, 4. Speaking of Aftermath.
And I think this is another example. So it's Paint It Black. This is number 5. And what is the B-side here? Long while.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know that one myself. I took this quote from Record World Review, this fine publication that I'm not familiar with, but I think it was from their wiki page. And the quote is, "Guys are in depressed mood, but the rhythm is anything but depressed. Irrepressible hit." So they're giving their review of the song. Are they depressed? I don't know. I kind of thought, all right, fine. But the second part of the sentence, the rhythm is anything but depressed. And I think if I be a bit self-indulgent and talk about how I like to play this song, or how we like to play this song, the faster the better. It was just like balls out, it's like, okay, here we go, 1, 2. The tempo's up from the very beginning. I didn't feel very depressed playing it at all. In fact, it was anything but. It was just a sheer adrenaline kind of rush playing this song, because I knew what was coming, and I think when the people who were in wherever we were playing, maybe got that feeling from it as well. It was just a burst of energy. And everyone knows this song. It's another fine example of the opening riff. I mean, these riffs or little licks are very basic in their construction, not being much of a guitar player myself, but they're very basic in their construction. But you don't need to be Yes or anything like that, or Steely Dan or anything like that to really, to get your message across, add what you want to it. But Paint It Black itself, I suppose, from 1966. When did the Vietnam War start, Mark? I don't want to say, I can't remember. 67, 68?
Oh, well, I mean, the U.S. had so-called advisors in Vietnam well before that. But maybe this is the time when resistance to what was going on over there started to really become almost mainstream.
So in that sense, there's a certain kind of awareness of what's going on. Not outside their bubble of a rock and roll band. It's a kind of a statement in it as well. And of course, we forgot to mention it has the sitar intro.
Well, and again, that's all Brian Jones. Like that's his riff, that's his sitar. So you got, I guess, one of the first attempts at world music in Anglo-American pop music. So
and
that's
maybe
one
of the best opening lines of a song.
I mean, this is one of their best songs of all time. This definitely would have been on my list if you had not put it on yours. I mean, it's a fan favorite.
It's short. I mean, it's what?
It's short.
Less than 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Well, you could do that outro for.
Yeah. You can ad-lib to fade as well.
Yeah.
You could make it stretch.
So this always, if there's a lull in the show, you start playing this and the crowd is back into it for sure.
Like, whoa, there you go, right. And maybe that's one of the differences playing the Rolling Stones songs today is turning the BPM up a wee bit, or fixing the tempo a little bit. When you hear the record, it might feel a bit slow. Maybe that's just because what we're used to today, but it kind of, I wouldn't say it's a dirge, anything, but it, when you hear it live, you want to speed it up a bit, I think, anyway, to just give it that extra oomph.
Yes.
I don't know what the original BPM was, but I think it was a lot less than what we played at.
I wonder. I never felt that it dragged on the record. I mean,
maybe it depends where you are and where you hear it and what kind of mood you're in. There's a lot of kind of variables there. You might not have heard. I don't remember the last time I heard it. Well, not that long ago, preparing for this podcast. But before that, prior to that, I probably heard it randomly. On a playlist somewhere, and you're like, that was good.
Yeah.
Don't need to change anything here.
I mean, I was just thinking about how it's also another example of that anti-Beatles, or I don't know if it's anti, but it's like this kind of pessimistic lyrical sentiment. I want to see the sun blotted out from the sky. Can you imagine Paul McCartney singing that? Good day, sunshine. Meanwhile, the
over
Stones
here
are singing Paint It Black. It's just such a fascinating contrast.
I've always liked this song. Some of the Stones albums, you can pick from them, I suppose. They might be a bit patchy in places. Like me.
Would you include this, Their Satanic Majesty's Request? Because it's a personal... No. Okay. I was going to say, a lot of people diss this album and say,
so maybe
psychedelic.
Prior to this, like the kind of earlier stuff, you might album fillers, whatever you want to call it, just kind of, all right, we need 10 songs, we've got 6, so let's go into the covers, and that's how it was done. But this album really kind of opened I remember I maybe don't remember the first time I heard it, but you've just never really heard anything like it. It's just so different. I mean, if you compare Under My Thumb, Satisfaction, you're talking at you can see a transition getting into Paint It Black, but then it's just like, okay, no, what is this? Right? It's like, this is nuts.
Well, this is what caused Lennon to say the Stones do everything the Beatles do 3 months later, right? Like, I don't know the exact date of release of this, but this is their response to Sgt. Pepper, just as Let It Bleed was their response to Let It Be, you know. So it's kind of a parody, but it's a great parody. And again, instead of joining Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, for some reason that's never really explained, you know, we've got something satanic produced in response.
The quote I put on the screen for anyone interested: the band experimented with a psychedelic sound, incorporating unconventional elements such as mellotron, sound effects, string arrangements, and African rhythms. So you get where do you begin with that? I mean, it's a great song and really, really emblematic of its time. I would say 1967. So now you're really getting into the kind of the whole beginning of the hippie thing, I would say, around about that time, and it fits perfectly, you know, with that the other psychedelic sounds that were going on at the time.
Did we say what it was? This is 2,000 light years
from home. Maybe I should
home.
Start there at the beginning.
Well, yeah, I remember before I listened to the album, I remember hearing this on some like Summer of Love documentary, and I was very impressed with it. There's kind of like a sci-fi, it's like
cosmic groove thing going on.
Cosmic groove. You know? There's something like from a Star Trek episode, but it also rocks, you know.
Yeah, it's not a filler.
It's there's some really nasty guitar.
Interesting B-side. She's a Rainbow
great
on this one. You know? Yeah, nice contrast. Which
we'll get to eventually, but yeah, great track, and I would argue great album. Underrated, you know, often overlooked, but I think they're, even if they repudiated it themselves, I think their experiment with psychedelia was fascinating and successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, number 7. Oh,
now we get to the big boys, as it were, right? So Sympathy for the Devil is number 7 from the Beggar's Banquet album of 1968. And yeah, what's not to like about, if I'm being self-indulgent again, what's not good about playing this song? You know, there's just so much fun to be had when you're playing it. I remember, to make it a bit different from the record without losing any of the feel, I think I'd heard Guns N' Roses play it live in the way they started it, and I think that's where I blagged the intro from, you know, the kind of little kind of tom rolls. I tried to kind of mimic that, and I think I'd seen Guns N' Roses do it, and I thought, oh, I'll have that, right? that works. And that kind of added a bit of the dynamic to it as well. But according to the blurb on the screen here, in the 2012 documentary Crossfire Hurricane, Jagger stated that his influence for the song came from, you can help me with the pronunciation? Baudelaire? Pardon?
Baudelaire,
yeah. And from Russian author Mikhail Bulgakov's novel, The Master and the Margarita. The book was given to him by Marianne Faithfull. So I thought I would add that bit for you, Mark. Maybe you could. Do you know anything about this? I
had heard that, yeah. So the devil appears in Bulgakov's The Master and Margarita, and there's some satanic imagery in Baudelaire's poetry, but I don't really see the connection to the song. And I think Jagger admitted later that when he's tried to find that connection, he hasn't been able to locate it. So I think the ideas that he got from whatever poetry of Baudelaire he was exposed to, and whatever he found in the novel, I think that was just like the point of departure, and then he took it somewhere else. Maybe
it's a great song for many reasons. Excuse me, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have anything further to say about it really, other than maybe there's like an almost Haitian voodoo kind of influence, which they would have picked up from who knows where. Maybe they were listening to some world music records, or they just
spiritual
kind of
people around about at this time in 1968 as well, Mark, probably spreading the word in whatever way they were. A couple of things. Lyrically, it works really well. Just as I was saying about Paint It Black, you've got the pleased to meet you, let me. Anyway, I won't sing it for everyone. I won't spoil it for everyone. But at the same time, they managed to kind of this kind of juxtaposition of the woo. So they managed to keep the kind of classic, catchy hook part of it, if you want to call it that, the woo, and then that goes on and on. But the lyrically as well, there's a nice kind of play of the two things here together. There's a certain kind of, I don't want to say playfulness to it, but there's the kind of a harder side to the lyrics, or the grittier side to the lyrics. Then there's the woo, a kind of some might say a kind of boo-wop feel to it. It's like, and it works. That's its genius.
It works very well, and live, it can't miss. It's just a killer song to play live. Everyone knows it. Everyone sings along. Everyone loves it. It's fantastic.
Before we move on to the next one, though, you and I were talking just before we pressed record. And I asked you if you'd seen the Jean-Paul Godard. It was a film, right? It wasn't. He didn't do a documentary. I think it was a motion picture, as they say. And you told me it was rubbish.
The film. I
was.
Wouldn't go that far. It was, It's,
am I paraphrasing too much?
Well, I
boring?
Enjoyed it. It's boring. Yeah, at times it drags. But as a document of the times and of the Stones in the studio, it's interesting.
Right.
It was interesting to me as a fan, so I'm glad I saw it, but it's just like not an amazing cinematic experience, I guess.
And that's
I would
the thumbnail we've got here as well from that. I can't remember where they recorded it. Was it in Abbey Road or Earl's Court or somewhere? Anyway, but there's a lot of...
I'm not sure. I can't remember how they made the arrangement with Godard, and I think maybe he wanted to film some other group, and then they weren't available, so he ended up taking his cameras into the studio with the Stones.
It's an unlikely combination, I would suggest.
Yeah.
But it was the 60s, so what do I know?
Yeah, and in particular 68, which is when, things kicked off in Paris, like with the Situationists and the student protests and everything.
Right.
So it's kind of like a clash of the British and the French counterculture of the day. So as a historical document, I think it's pretty interesting, but just as a film, it can drag in places. And if you're not like a fan of Godard and or the Stones, you might not be as interested in it as, I don't know, I was.
So maybe check out the documentary Crossfire Hurricane instead.
I don't think I've seen that one, but yeah.
I haven't, no, I don't recall, but I'm sure we'll find it.
Okay, here's number 8.
This is Let It Bleed from the album of the same name from 1969. We also have a very funky Japanese record sleeve to accompany it. And the blurb I attached to it, this is the first album since Brian Jones was fired from the band, and he died within a month of being fired. So it was the swimming pool. I think he was found in a swimming pool, if I remember correctly. So
Possibly
what is that?
Murdered, some have
Yes,
alleged.
there are many elements to this chapter of their career that remain unanswered, I suppose. Now, was it just, if we take Brian Jones out of it in the sense that, you know, he passed away soon after being fired from the band, his band, the band he started, but that was it. But as you mentioned earlier, you could see the writing was on the wall. I think it was just a matter of time. And then reading some of the other things, he was not very reliable, or he was kind of in and out. He was maybe on high all the time or whatever, but he was just not really on the ball when he should have been in that. So it kind of speeded up the process of his departure from the band. And also musically, this might have been a kind of the next chapter musically for the band to take. So we went through some psychedelic, went through some world music influences, and now here we're hearing something, I don't want to say new, but really, you know, relative for them anyway, it's a relatively new sound, this kind of thing. Anything you'd like to add about it, man?
Well, which we would describe as what? Country influenced?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they started experimenting in that with that genre on Beggar's Banquet, I would argue. And even before that, there's some country influenced songs, but there's more, like, you hear more slide guitar, especially in this title track from Let It Bleed.
I don't know
as
if
well
Keith
as others.
was hanging around with Graham Parsons at this point or not.
I was
but
just
there's
thinking
a lot
about
of that
him, yeah.
kind of influence here when he was hanging around with other great guitar players and musicians, and why not?
And it's kind of in the air at the time. We mentioned the Laurel Canyon scene. You know, you got bands like the Byrds, Buffalo Springfield. They're already experimenting with what would come to be called country rock, you know. So, yeah, this is another fantastic song to play live, another fan favorite, crowd pleaser. It's a great one. And the Japanese, by the way, says Retto Ito Burido.
I tip my hat to you, sir.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. Also from Let It Bleed, number 9.
I think this picture is mine, so this is one that I recognise from the little shop in Erfurt, where it had these kind of model figures. So number 9, Monkey Man, from the Let It Bleed album. And I'll give you a little quote from classic rock history critic Matthew Pollard. He rated Monkey Man as the Rolling Stones' ninth, right, best deep cut, particularly praising the vibraphone chimes at the beginning that give the song its espionage-esque vibes and Richards' awesome slide solo. I don't really know how to follow that, but I'm like, fine. What made me laugh though was it's the 9th best deep cut, right? So this guy obviously has a list of them, you know. I'm kind of like, all right, I'm glad someone's paying attention. But Monkey Man is, if you've never heard this song before, then, you know, go do yourself a favour. Go look at the album, wherever you get it, on YouTube or whatever, and do yourself a favour, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's very eclectic and enigmatic, and it has a lot of, what does it say here? vibraphone chimes. And it's
Espionage-esque.
espionage-esque vibes, right? I'm like,
I guess
okay.
it's talking about the intro, which sounds, I don't know, it could be like the
We waiting
beginning
for
of
Johnny Rivers, like Mr. Secret Agent Man or
a
something.
Secret
like that.
Agent Man or some kind of like British,
The Persuaders. There was lots of these kind
detective
of
show.
yeah. They had great theme tunes. A lot of these things, right enough. So I don't know who played the vibraphone on it, but anyway, I never bothered to find out. But
I didn't even know that's what it was, but I guess
me too.
yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It may well have
yeah.
been Brian Jones actually,
or Ian Stewart, or
Yeah.
some studio.
but it's a great song. It
Sideman.
really kind of doesn't fit into the Rolling Stones mold, of what you think of as a Rolling Stones classic, whether that be Satisfaction or Under My Thumb or Get Off My Cloud, or these kind of tunes. This is something really, really very, very different. It's also a little bit darker, whether that's just the kind of key it's in or the way, the espionage vibes to it.
A trifle too satanic.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting there, But yeah, do yourself a favor. If you don't know it, check it out.
I don't think we ever played this one, though. I always hoped that we would, but I seem to recall not being able to convince the others to learn it.
Yeah. Rock
Did
and
you
roll
ever
has
play
it.
it live?
Maybe. I'll give you a definitely. I'll pull my Oasis card out and call it definitely maybe. I did put together a charity show, a Rolling Stones night, so it might have been played on that night. We did one for the Beatles one night, and it was called Soul versus the Beatles, and we did it in Freebird in Hongdae, and then the year after we did another one. This time it was the Stones. Maybe it was the other way around, vice versa. And I don't know, say 4 or 5 bands, a couple of solo acts. I'm sure somebody played it at some point. It was quite nice. We had a lot of variety. Lots to pick from.
All right, here is the final song of set number 1.
Number 10, Brown Sugar from the album Sticky Fingers, 1971. And the quote from Mick Jagger that I included here: "We've played Brown Sugar every night since 1970, so sometimes you think we'll take that one out for now and see how it goes. We might put it back in." And this is him talking about dropping the song from the set list in 2021. If we take the themes of the song rather than the song itself, if that makes sense. So rather than just take it as a song you would hear on the radio or in a bar or hear a band playing, I guess it's the politically correct nature of the world we live in now compared to when this was written in 1970 or even before that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, this is not the only.
No, there are several, isn't there?
Yeah. There's one on my list I'm thinking of in particular, but yeah, there are quite a few Jagger penned lyrics that maybe wouldn't fly today.
No.
I guess we could put it like that. And yeah, this is one of them.
It has a lot of connotations, Brown Sugar itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's black women, it's heroin.
Yeah.
It's the actual brown sugar, maybe, although that's probably the least important of the connotations. But yeah, this is, in the beginning we mentioned the possibility of a set list based on drugs, right? Well, we're definitely into the heroin phase now.
It's kicking in.
Yeah, we went from, I guess, speed to marijuana to LSD to heroin.
Kicking into the
brown
big
sugar.
Thank you. Right, thanks for filling in the blanks. So, what was interesting, it took up to 2021 for them or someone to make it a bit clearer to them that they had to stop playing this, or it might be in their best interest to drop it from the set list for the reasons that we mentioned, or
I wonder if that's
portrayal
it, or
of women in the song, you know. Or they
just got tired of it. Yeah, they just got tired of it. I mean, I think people still want to hear what they want to hear. They don't care about, you know, what the current prohibitions are.
Mm.
I mean, there's still, you look at the views on YouTube and people are still going to play and listen to these songs. So,
I mean, does it make me a bad person for liking Brown Sugar the song? No.
no.
It's a song of its time, and of course it's, as I said, if we take those either political, race, or other societal kind of issues out of it, it's a rock and roll song, you know. And it has the whoops and the ahs, and it's got the hook, and it does what it says in the tin, you know. I don't think that makes anyone a bad person for liking it. Now, either dropping it from the set list because they came under pressure to do so, that's a different story. They might have well said, yeah, well, okay, fine. We've got another 60 songs we can fill it in with. I
wonder if that was the reason, or as we suggested, they just got tired of it, you know, for 50 years, from 1970 to 2021.
It's nearly as old as me, Mark.
Yeah.
It's nearly as old as me.
So, you know, sometimes you need to switch things up to keep them interesting.
Right.
All right, so that's the end of set one. Now let's get into my set one. That was your set one, I should say. Here's Mark's list. Let's just jump right into it. I open with Let's Spend the Night Together. Get the double meaning?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it
this
was
one
even
again.
used. It was even used
obvious.
as the title of this concert film. Apparently, I didn't know about it before, but you know, that's what you're doing. The band is inviting you to spend the night together with them as well, so I thought it'd be a good one to start with. And I've always liked it, you know. It's
a bit
good,
heavier on the piano as well as the intro
upbeat,
and things like that, you know. You get a different feel to this song,
and it's got some interesting chord changes that maybe are somewhat surprising and unexpected. You know, it's not a typical blues 1-4-5 composition. I like that about it. If you're watching the slideshow here, you see it was actually the double A side of Ruby Tuesday. So this is from 1967, and it appeared on the album Between the Buttons, also from 1967. It was covered by Bowie, and his version is quite unremarkable. I much prefer the Stones version, but just as an interesting footnote.
Made a couple of notes myself just as I was going through your list. So what was interesting for me was it was banned by the BBC for promoting promiscuity, right? So good old BBC in their do-gooding ways. I don't know how long it was on their banned list for, but interestingly enough, they played in China for the first time in 2006, and it was also banned. Well, they weren't allowed to play it then.
Really?
Back in 2006, according to what I read. Plus, there's another one. The suggestive lyrics on the Ed Sullivan Show. So he told them, or his producers or whoever told them to change it to whatever. I can't remember exactly, but
let's spend some time together.
Thank you, right. And of course he didn't. I don't think he did it. He just didn't change it. I can't forget the outcome, but you know, it's all bollocks, right?
I think they played along, but then the Doors, when they were on the show and did Light My Fire, they agreed to change it to something, but then Jim sang it as it was meant to be, I think.
Right.
I think that's the story. Probably we could answer the question by looking for the YouTube footage, but yeah, Ed Sullivan was not happy with the Doors, and they got a permanent band. Ed Sullivan, by all accounts, was a total prick, so who cares how he felt about it?
Doesn't it, right?
Yeah.
The fun police are in order, right? So let's
He
not
was
have
a
any
real asshole to Buddy Holly as well, going back even further,
just in the sense of he was just not a very pleasant individual, or we kind of dicked him around, or
he purposefully misintroduced him, like he called him Billy Holly or something like that. Right. It was an obvious diss.
Just kind of cheap shit.
Yeah. Buddy
great song. Let's get back to the song. Let's spend the night together. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think
great
it's
use
a
of
good one
backing
to start
vocals
with.
here as well.
Also, Charlie sounds great as always. I've always liked the drums on this, and the keys, as you say. But moving on to number 2, maybe somewhat unexpected. Although you look at the views on YouTube, it's
someone's watching
very popular. So number 2 here is Doom and Gloom. This is the lead single from Grrr 2012, the 50th anniversary compilation album. So they, I didn't buy the album, but I guess it was all a bunch of old tracks. And then this,
I think there was this one and another. Maybe there was this and another track.
This and another. But I mean, I'm telling you, if this had come out in the 70s, it would be one of their biggest songs, I think. It's great. I mean, it's a fantastic straight-ahead rocker, and lyrically, it's quite interesting. How
many compilation albums do they have now? For years, you couldn't get a Stones album. It was called Rolled Gold was one of them. Hot Rocks was another one, but they always seemed like dodgy, right? They were always kind of a bit, I don't know, they never really seemed real.
Sucking in the 70s, Made in the Shade, I think.
So I don't know if this is all to do with their record deals, or Decca, or London, or whoever they were with, or Atlantic, I think they were with at one point. I might be wrong.
Wasn't there one called 40 Licks?
40
I think
Licks, that came later.
That's the tour.
I think,
I think that was earlier. That was like early 2000s, because
earlier than this, right.
Yeah, that's the one time I saw them
40
live.
Licks,
was on the 40 Licks tour, or whatever that was called.
It's got the tongue.
2000, 3, 4, 5, sometime around then.
Other than that, this is a great
States.
name for an album. I mean, why? It's just, it kind of works, and it's grrr. I do like that a lot. The song itself, the notes I made. Please go on, Mark. I'll let you finish.
Well, I was just going to say, lyrically, it's kind of like the Gimme Shelter of its day. Just as Gimme Shelter was a commentary on the Vietnam War, this is kind of a commentary on the war on terror, I guess you could say, and like the neocon, the disaster of the that was caused by the neocon agenda. So to me, it's, if I were currently in a Stones cover band, I would try to play this. It's just a straight ahead rocker, and it kicks ass. It's a punch in the gut or the face,
absolutely,
or a kick in the balls.
All of the above. The notes I made, I just made like one line kind of notes, as I'm kind of paraphrasing them. So I wrote, they say the new Stones stuff is not up to snuff, or not as good, or it's a bit patchy, or fill in the adjective of your choice. But
right.
I think this song definitely proves otherwise, as you've so eloquently said. Hackney Diamonds was the last album, and it won the best. I mean, I couldn't give a monkeys about the Grammys, but if we're saying, I can't really go back on it now, but I think that was the best rock album, whenever it was, 2 years ago or something, for the Grammys. So,
I heard a couple of tracks on there I liked.
The first single was good. I forget what it was, but it had the video going through Hollywood and an open
Right.
top kind of convertible thing, and it was fine. You know.
Yeah. I liked Bite My Head Off, I think it was called. Kind of a punk
Yeah, it was,
track
it
with
was-
Paul McCartney on bass.
Yeah, right.
Surprisingly. Yeah, none of those Hackney Diamond songs made my list, but they're still out there doing it, and
I
they're
saw
still
a story the other day, as the algorithm is now want to send me every Rolling Stones piece of useful or useless information ever. They are They have enough material in, already written and so on to work on the next album. So whenever that's coming,
Why not do it?
keep a look out. People will still
All right.
go and see them.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Tom, that's not in doubt. Please go on.
Number 3 is the song Out of Time, always a personal favorite of mine. Also one that I may have lobbied for us to play, but wasn't a popular choice. Originally released on Aftermath in 1966, it also appears on some of these compilation albums like Flowers from 67 and Metamorphosis from 75. And you may have heard it in Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood from 2019. But this is another kind of slightly misogynistic Jagger lyrics. You know, he's informing a female that she's out of time. She's run out of time, and she's also trying to come back into the picture at the wrong time, so she's
Literally
not in time.
out of
She's
time.
out of time. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. It's
Kind of a
over.
double meaning there. I find this interesting musically too. There are a couple of versions. I think one's longer than the other and has more. I don't know, more. One of the tracks has, is it Spanish guitar or something? It's kind of more. One is more flowery than the other, I guess. There's more, like, you could almost say it's overproduced, but anyway, both versions are good. Compositionally very solid, lyrically interesting. So
Good pop song.
Good pop song.
It's got the hook.
Yeah.
I can add my tuppence for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So I'd found out they never actually performed this live until 2022, which I found quite
Interesting.
interesting. And if you didn't know this already, Jimmy Page played on the Chris Farlow versions, which is also very popular, right? If you look to the Beat Club YouTube channel, you'll find all sorts of very, very groovy performances there from, I think they were recorded in Cologne in the 60s and so on, and early 70s. Beat Club. You'll find the Chris
I know
Farlow
about
version
Beat
there.
Club, yeah.
Beat Club's great, yeah.
Huh.
Get some real bangers in there. But the production, I think, was different for the Chris Farlow version as well, or it was just changed to suit his style.
I'm not sure I've heard that. I don't even know who that is. Who's Chris Farlow?
One of those 60s crooner type dudes, somewhere between Scott Walker and Tom Jones, like that guy, but maybe not the best. Maybe not the best looking kind of dude ever, but can sing a bit. It's like that.
Yeah.
I'm probably doing him
So-
a massive disservice, but I don't remember any of his other hits. Because my dad, I would hear all these songs all the time, like growing up. You'd hear it on the radio. God, when people listen to the radio, right, you would hear it all the time. I would hear it going through my dad's records or visiting my grandparents. You would hear a lot of it. So you just knew, or I think on a Saturday morning, there was a Sound of the 60s show, it was called. I think that was always on a Saturday morning. So it was always, it was ever present, as a kid growing up. And I mean, 8, 9, 10 kind of thing, it just sticks in the memory.
So this is another example of a song that was covered by other artists looking for a hit. And it, wasn't, I don't think this was a huge hit for the Stones, so it's interesting that someone would have picked this to to cover, you know? Maybe because it was less well known. But anyway, for me, this is one of their great songs. It made my list. And here we go, number 4. It's 2000 Man from Their Satanic Majesty's Request, that psychedelic experimentation of 1967. Now, you had 2,000 Light Years from Home, and this is 2000 Man. So the new millennium was on the brain in 1967 for whatever reason.
Maybe this was their Y2K, if you remember that nonsense. But right,
exactly.
I'm sure there's a lot of pre-hype.
Yeah, before that was a thing. And there's even mentioned the word computer appears in this song. Something about, I don't know. It's
didn't
not
listen
clear.
to the Kiss version. I did.
Yeah, it was covered by Kiss, and their version sucks. Unsurprisingly. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it. But anyway, it's not really clear what this song is about. But I've always liked the. I mean, it's another rocker, and I've always liked the instrumentation. The band sounds great. There's a I guess it's Ian Stewart on the keys. This is I've actually got a couple of songs from Their Satanic Majesty's Request, but this has always been a favorite.
Yeah, for me it's the beat and the tempo that this tune particularly that keeps you guessing. You know, you're just like, all right, what's coming next? Where's it going?
Yeah.
Right, I didn't see that coming. I don't know if that's a cue for people to go and listen to it, but they should. If you've never heard it, do yourself a favour.
Yeah. Yes. Highly recommended. All right, number 5, another one of their later songs, but I guess from the perspective of 2025, it's not that recent. Number 5 is Saint of Me, the third single from Bridges to Babylon, 1997. To me, this is kind of a follow-up to Sympathy for the Devil, right? It's got religious imagery that they're playing with, but the
lyrics
if you've
are
not
interesting.
heard the song, what's that?
Lyrics are pretty interesting.
Yes. If you're watching slideshow here, you see Jagger with a halo, which is ironic because the song, the point of the song is that he's singing, "You'll never make a saint of me."
Right.
Yeah. So, this is what does it mean? What's he saying? Like, I'm gonna persist. I'm gonna keep rolling as a stone. You can't stop me.
When was this written, Matt? Do you know?
97 it's from Bridges to
So
Babylon.
I'm trying to think what wife he was on at that point, or what part of his life he was on at that point.
It's post Jerry Hall, I guess.
Right. So whoever came after that, I don't know. So yeah, there might be some kind of press related or media related, stuff that's going on, or digging the dirt on him, and all that stuff.
I mean, the politically correct, PC kind of woke ideology that we've alluded to was already in the works at that time. So maybe that's his public statement saying, no thanks, I'm not playing along with that. I am who I am, and a trifle too satanic.
If you're looking for something completely different, a version of this song, I don't know if you found it or not, but it's called the Deep Dish Mix. So if you're into a little bit of kind of house music, go and find Saint of Me Deep Dish Mix, and you'll get Mick Jagger as you've never heard him before.
Huh, interesting. Also, was this Don Was, or was this the Dust Brothers, point. Or I'm not sure, but anyway, I included this because it's another later track which I think is often overlooked. And if this came out in the late 60s or the mid 70s or even the 80s or whatever, I think it would get a lot more love than
Absolutely.
it does.
There'd be a lot more talk about it, I think, as well,
Yeah.
lyrically.
Great lyrically,
Yeah.
and it's also, musically solid.
He is a bit underrated as a lyricist, I think, Jagger. A lot of it is just
Absolutely.
you take the hits for granted. It's like, oh, Peter Black satisfaction under my thumb, right? We use the old kind of idiomatic expressions or cliches, but dig a little deeper and you can see a very well read and thoughtful songwriter.
Yeah. But effortlessly so, he makes it appear as if these clever turns of phrase just
they're there.
are
Right?
off the cuff, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
almost throwaway, but when you hear them, it's like that's actually brilliant.
It's kind
really...
of it's interesting, his persona as well, because if you've ever seen him warm up for a gig, he does all this mad warm up stuff for gigs. He goes I don't know if he's a treadmill or he's doing whatever. He's basically working out before he goes and plays. I mean, I don't know how old he is, 80, whatever he is, but I mean, it's pretty. I never did that for a show, right? Well, I had enough things to get on with, so I didn't really need to do it. But there's a lot more strings to Mick Jagger's bow than I think he's given credit for, just as you see him as that. People might think of him as this kind of spitting image caricature with the kind of lips and the thing, the kind of funky dance move going on. But as I was saying, dig a little deeper and there's a lot, even musically. Fine harmonica player, decent guitar player, plays piano. I mean,
Yeah. Well, interestingly, though, his solo stuff never really connected with me. I never connected with it in the same way. So he does kind of need, especially Keith.
He needs the other side of it.
Keith needs him, right?
Right.
But I don't know. They're able to bring out the best in each other, and there's kind of a synergistic something that.
Richards did, I think it was called Main Offender, the solo album, I remember. I'm sure he's done others, but Main Offender.
Primitive Cool, She's the Boss, I can remember.
They just seemed a bit kind of pub-ish. I don't mean that in a bad way, but they were kind of, a bunch of mates and just kind of hanging out and a wee bit sloppy or kind of,
do you remember the song Let's Work?
I do.
Let's Work. I mean, what is that? That's that is a track released by the frontman for the Stones.
You're giving half-assed a disservice, saying that, right? It takes all sorts. That's a good idea. Why don't we do that?
But see, this is where the comparison with the Beatles is interesting, because the Beatles, each member, even Ringo, you could argue, is able to be a solo artist in his own right, and like a successful, meaningful, impactful solo artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
John, Paul, George, as I say, even Ringo maybe, or at least maybe with Ringo's All-Stars, right? But the Stones never quite achieved that, did they?
No.
I mean,
not even close, I think. I don't think it's...
What was Richard's band? The Expensive Winos, or...
Yeah, some Winos anyway, right? Yeah.
New Barbarians or whatever. I mean, I like that song, You Don't Have to Take It So Hard, from the 80s or 90s or whatever, but, they need each other.
Yeah, I think so.
They need each other. There's something... I mean, the Beatles had their own synergistic energy or power, but with the Stones, it's like essential, like who knows how it worked. Maybe watching the Sympathy for the Devil documentary gives us some insight into how they work together synergistically to create something which is greater than the sum of its parts, you know. But yeah, I don't know how we got on this.
Deep dish mix. There we go. All right, deep dish mix. Let's take it. If you're interested in a bit of, I don't even know what it is, house, techno, whatever it is. I listen to it. It's all right.
Well, we were talking about the underrated, brilliance of Jagger's lyrics, and I would just say that I think his, I don't know, whatever he's trying to do lyrically is, with the assistance of the band, heightened in some way, you know, like, because of the musicians that he's surrounded him with, those particular musicians, right? It doesn't work when he just hires some people to play on his solo album, not in the same way. So it's really that bond between him and Keith. Kind of got distracted because there's something going on over here to the side, but anyway, let's move on to my number 6, which is another deep cut, I guess. She Was Hot. This is from 1983's Undercover, and there's a really great music video if you haven't seen it. It's directed by Julian Temple, and it features the hot redhead Anita Morris, who's an amazing dancer and a statuesque beauty. I don't know, have you seen the video? It's pretty.
I have, yeah. My notes.
Pretty
Mark,
entertaining.
if you'd like to know exactly what it says, would they get away with a video like that today? That's exactly what I wrote for my notes to it. Probably
not.
No.
Yeah.
The fun police would be in there, kind of stopping right away. I mean, it's a very tongue-in-cheek, a bit cheeky, if you'll pardon the pun as well. But it's that kind of, and a bit racy, and it's She Was Hot, right? So it's kind of, let's do what it says on the tin.
Yeah, I know Undercover, that album. Well, I guess the title track appears in your list later, but this may be 1983's Undercover. It might have been my first exposure to the Stones. I can clearly remember seeing the video for Undercover of the Night on whatever it was, MTV at the time, at a friend's house, and this is before I knew anything about the Stones or the Beatles, and I was mesmerized by the video. And
it gets your attention, that's for sure.
Interesting.
So we should direct our listeners and viewers to that video and make up their own mind, and they can agree or disagree with us. Julian Temple, I believe, directed The Great Rock and Roll Swindle, and he was also in a band called the Temple Tudor, I think.
I think
There's
that's
some hot
right.
Trivia.
Yeah, The Great Rock and Roll Swindle, of course, is that Sex Pistols drama? It's not a documentary.
Trying to blag some more cash, cash for chaos.
Yeah. And so I think that was probably his first big project, and then he became a hot music
Hollywood
video
and
director.
of course this is prime MTV stuff as well, Martin. 1983.
Yes.
Yeah, you're just kind of.
Did he direct the Undercover of the Night video as well?
I really don't know. I didn't
look into that either. And there was one for Too Much Blood, which almost made my list. All right, number 7, another underrated track, one that I only recently discovered. I was not paying attention at all in 1989 when Steel Wheels came out, but the song Terrifying has become one of my favorites. It's a great song. I didn't know this, but there's an uncredited Nick Mason of Pink Floyd
out too, right? Very
on Rototoms, according to Wikipedia. But
everyone's googling what's a Rototom, right?
Right? Yeah. This is another interesting lyrical contribution from Jagger. There's like this bestial imagery of bears and tigers and I don't know what, and maybe related to Saint of Me in a way that, or I guess it would be a predecessor of Saint of Me in a way, because it's kind of like, I don't know, though not specifically mentioned, horn dog is kind of implied. the terrifying nature of sexual desire and lust and so on. But always there's a double meaning, because it could also refer to, violence, political strife, and so on. Maybe there's some of that implied lyrically. But
I found it. Yeah. It didn't really jump off the page or the screen or anything like that to me. I had to even go back. I didn't even remember it, to be honest. I was just like, to quote what I've written down, the production sounds very much like a song from 1989. That was what it reminded me of. That whole Steel Wheels thing, and I forget the I can't. Yeah, that's just a bit blurry for that. But that was a big tour they did as well, the Steel Wheels tour. I was supposed to go and see them in Glasgow, but I didn't for whatever reason. But they played at the National Football Stadium in Glasgow. So, but that was my one and only chance to go, and I blew it. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I never.
You've never seen them live.
No.
Oh, okay.
So that's
yeah, I have a friend that did see them on this tour. I was not paying attention to them at all at this time. I guess I was in my classical music phase. I kind of distanced myself from all rock and pop. Oh, I'm above that. I'm into Beethoven and Wagner, and
which is fine, but we can all coexist, right?
Yeah. No, I also like the guitar interplay between Ron Wood and Keith Richards on this. And there's kind of a almost trance-like groove, which you can also hear on the track Continental Drift, I think it's called, from the same album. So it's interesting to me. If you haven't heard it, I would recommend listening to it. I don't know if it would go over so well.
I mean, if nothing else, you're getting to hear an uncredited Nick Mason, who's the drummer from Pink Floyd, if anyone doesn't know.
Well,
and his magic on the Rototom. So if nothing else,
I mean, if you listen to the album cut, but I'm just thinking, how would this work as as one of the numbers in set one of our mythical, idealized Rolling Stones cover band? Maybe, I don't know, maybe
you either just play it and don't explain, right? You just say, you just get right to it, or you give them a little kind of a little blurb about a backstory of some way, a kind of a way into it.
I mean, I wouldn't open with this or close with this, but as the seventh song in a set list
that's
of 10,
fun, right?
It might be interesting. It kind of changes the vibe a little bit. Okay, let's keep it moving here. Track number 8. Okay, here we go. Stray Cat Blues. Here's how we get ourselves canceled. This is from Beggar's Banquet, 1968, and just to explain what I mean, I'll read this quote from Wikipedia. The song is told from the perspective of a man lusting for illegal sex with a 15-year-old groupie, reasoning that it's no hanging matter, it's no capital crime. During the performance of the song from the Get Your Yayas Out 1970 live album, Jagger changed the lyric to 13 years old. Oh, no, he didn't. So, yeah, that's... Oh, I forgot
Where
to
do
put
you begin with this
quotes
one,
at the end of that. I mean, it's on my list because I just think it's a fantastic groove.
Yeah.
It's kind of a guilty pleasure, I guess, right? Like it's it's maybe like what Chris Rock said about hip hop. I love it, but I'm tired of trying to justify why I love it. You know, I can't really explain it. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. Yeah, but it's I mean, that groove is just so.
It fits with the title of the song as well, you know.
Yeah,
it's
that, so raunchy. It's raunchy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dirty, down
when
and
you
dirty.
think of what a
nasty.
stray cat is, or you know,
yeah,
what they get up to.
Yep. But you know, it's probably, if you looked into it, it's probably uncomfortably autobiographical. But I guess now he would probably say, "Oh, that's just a persona I was adopting." But in the Epstein age, it's kind of difficult to justify,
right, yeah.
And you can't imagine,
normalize it.
Yeah, you can't imagine someone coming out with this now. And
I mean, we do live in different times. This came out in 1968, right? So even if we think about it, then this was probably the. I'm going to word this very carefully, but this might be the kind of prime time for groupies in 1968, right? Rock and roll was at its very peak. You've got the best rock and roll, arguably. Some still to come, but you know, arguably you're getting the best of the business.
Yeah.
Everything was about free love, or people were just getting their groove on, and kind of, you know, one thing led to another. People running away from home, doing their own thing, wanting to escape, wanting to be free.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to romanticize what you've just described there, but I think that's the context is important, right? I mean, I wasn't there, either were you. We're just reading between the lines of what people have told us or what we know for ourselves. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they made any secret of banging a lot of chicks, if I can put it in to paraphrase Keith.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how it was in those days. But again, you know, the Stones are always pushing the boundaries, and they're transgressing in a way. I mean, can you imagine the Beatles writing this? As you say, the closest they came was Helter Skelter, and that's pretty tame compared to this, you know. But even so, like, there's that line, "It's no hanging matter, it's no capital crime." That's like a really poetic way of putting it, if I may say so. You know, it's just a great turn of phrase. So
I think what we could add as well is that musically here you're getting a real, I'm now going to say something that's fun. It's a fun song, you know, to listen to play. I've never played this song, but it has all of the kind of elements you would expect for a kind of a really fun song to play. Like, it has all those parts to it. The story of the song, as it were, is just the kind of icing on the cake.
Yeah.
It's a rock and roll song, you know, it's great.
I also read that, I think it was on this Wikipedia page, apparently the intro was influenced by the Velvet Underground's Heroin.
Yeah, I read that too.
So that was kind of surprising. Of course, it doesn't really sound like VU, like, you know, sounds like the Stones, but that's just another example of how. That's just another example of how they have this.
Yeah, well, I heard that. I'll blag it. I'll keep it. Put it in the back pocket. You never know when you might use it.
Well, they take all of these eclectic influences and then make it their own. Right. Like, they're great at that.
There's also Mellotron in this song. The Mellotron appears again.
Yeah.
Has it ever? I think I wrote something like, "Has it ever sounded sleazier?" I'm not sure how Mellotron should be played, but you know, has it sounded sleazier? Probably not.
Probably not. All right, number 9 is Midnight Rambler.
Was going to be on my list, but I left it off deliberately.
Well, we did play this one. Originally released on Let It Bleed in 1969. Our cover band, Sticky Fingers, played this. It was always well received. I put it on my set list because when I saw the Stones live, and again, I don't remember, was it 2003, 4, 5, sometime around there, this was the best song, that they played that night for me. Like it was in a huge arena, and sometimes it would be like a minute into the song before I even realized what they were playing. That's how bad the the acoustics
like
of that arena.
Postcode kind of thing. It's like,
yeah. But for Midnight Rambler, I guess it was near the end of the show, they came out on these risers into the crowd, and it has those tempo changes and the breakdown, and then it they gradually build it back up into the exciting finale. It was
you can just
it was
rock
fantastic.
that out, man. It's such a good song.
It was great live. I mean, like, totally different from the record, and it really brought, not that the crowd was ever out of it, but it really just like raised the excitement to another level. So this is one that cover bands should consider playing, and when we played it, I thought it always worked pretty well.
It's a really fine song to just kind of, once you get the groove, or you get your own groove off the song, and the dynamics of it, and just how to play with it, and how to kind of stretch it out, and how to, because it's a very kind of, is it malleable? Is that the word I'm looking for? But you can kind of mold it in the way you want, right? You can, because it's kind of loose and a wee bit sloppy, which is it's one of the plus points of it. It's very flexible.
Sloppy.
In that
sense, you could say it's a shambles almost, but then somehow at the end
comes back together again.
It comes back together. Yeah, they introduce it, then they break it to pieces, then they slowly put all the pieces together and build it back up, and it's kind of a magical thing.
One thing to recommend is the Brussels Affair. So this was recorded, I think, in 1973, I want to say. You'll find the whole concert on YouTube, but you can find, obviously, the individual songs as well. The Brussels Affair. And there's a fine version of this on that cut.
The Brussels Affair. We'll put that in the show notes. All right. Number 10, the last song in...
I've got the riff in my head already, Mark.
Number 1. This is a great one to close with. It's Bitch from Sticky Fingers, 1971. It's the B-side of Brown Sugar, the aforementioned Brown Sugar. Jagger said, the brass for me is great, and it is.
I can't really argue with that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the all-time classic riffs, even if you don't know the name of the song or the lyrics, you probably have heard that riff, and it's a great one. I mean, for me, it's like, it's probably the best song on Sticky Fingers, and we always played this live. It was always it always brought down the house, as they say, or
up the tempo a little bit as well, just to kind of get that live feel into it.
Yeah. So this is, it's a good song to close the set out with, because it leaves people wanting more, right? Like, after you say, we're going to take a short break, they're
halfway to the joint already.
Left on a high note, and they're ready for set number 2.
And I think Jagger's performance here is great as well. He's kind of swaggering, he's kind of a bit gnarly. He's, that rock Mick for this performance, I would say, vocally as well.
Oh, yeah. And again, there's some bestial imagery. There's a horse kicking the stall. That's like an image of sexual frustration or desire or lust. That's, you can connect that to to the what was it? Oh, Terrifying. You know.
And of course, this song is not to be confused with the Meredith Brooks song. I believe her name was of the song with the same name.
I don't know that.
Well, you can add it to the show. If you like. I'm
Is
sure her
it
name was Meredith
Is it worth
Brooks.
listening to?
I'll let you be the judge of that, man.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a cover of it, it's just a song of the same name, right? So don't get them confused. But I'm sure her name was Meredith Brooks.
Okay. Well, we're almost 2 hours in. Should we introduce Setlist 2 next time so we can
that might be
maybe have a bit more energy? We'll take an extended break, and
it's late for you, man. So
it's after midnight here.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go, but I think I would start to flag
start
more than I already have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight's little episode, and we'll do.
I have made a playlist
2
as well. I'll share the playlist with you. Just a YouTube playlist of yours and my choices. Maybe we'll put that out. Maybe we'll put that out after the second episode.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So there are a few surprises for part 2 of this. But when we come back, we'll do the second set of 10 and then the songs for the encore. Craig has 5 of those. I have 3. So
I'm greedy that I'm.
Well, maybe I'm just lazy, but I thought 3 would probably be enough for the.
I just don't want to. Never really wanted to stop playing. Maybe that's what it was. I'm just kind of like another one.
I mean, well, this we'll probably get into this in part 2 of the episode, but I had like immediately at least 15 to 20 songs which should have made the list.
Made the list in that little chat room between us, didn't we?
Yeah, so maybe we can share those next time. I was joined by Craig, and this has been, I guess, part 1 of Guitar and Pen episode 9, I want to say. It's been a while since episode 8. It was probably, I did a Morrissey episode. It was the
Morrissey one, with Steve.
And then we did anyway, we'll be back with part 2 eventually, sometime or another. Don't forget to go to my Substack. That's Mark Will Write, WRITE.substack.com, and all the updates are there. So hope to see you again soon. Farewell.